Joining us on this episode, we have Trevor Morgan, who played Eric Kirby in Jurassic Park 3. Thanks for joining us, Trevor.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so it's a real honour to have you on the show. As we said to you before, we're just going to chat a little bit about your experience on Jurassic Park 3, have some fun, and so let's get into it. Jack, do you want to get things rolling?
Yeah. Trevor, you have the honour of being the first male child star from the Jurassic Park series, because we had Vanessa Lee Chester on, who played Kelly in The Lost World a few episodes back. And I was just wondering, how did it all come about? How did you get contacted, and how did you land the role?
It's sort of... I mean, I got really lucky is basically the broad answer. But I was doing a film called The Glass House at the time, and it happened to... I got an audition for Jurassic Park 3, and of course I freaked out because it's every little kid's dream to be in a Jurassic Park movie. And I auditioned for it, and getting a movie like that is sort of like winning the lottery, but I had happened to work with Kathleen Kennedy before, and Frank Marshall on The Sixth Sense. So I kind of thought it was possible that maybe it could come around, and just so happens that it did, and I got it. And while I was shooting The Glass House, AI was being filmed on the same studio. And I was good friends with Haley Joel Osment.
Oh, yeah, from The Sixth Sense.
Yes. I still am friends with him. And I was asked to come over and visit the set, and that was when I actually got to meet Steven Spielberg, where he was behind this sort of, like, this tent-like structure that they had made to block the sun from the video monitor. So it was kind of like someone pulled back the curtain, and there was and he explained to me that he was a huge fan of a movie that I was in that came out that right around that time, called The Patriot. And then I sort of started thinking that it was very possible that I was going to get it, and I ended up getting it. But at the time when I was doing the Glass House, Jurassic Park 3 and The Glass House, they had like a schedule conflict. So for a while there, it was, I thought for about a week that I had gotten it, but I wasn't going to be able to do the movie because The Glass House wouldn't let me out of certain days in the schedule.
God, I could imagine that being quite a tense time.
Say again?
I could imagine that being quite a tense time. Like, back and forth in your mind, right?
It was heartbreaking for me.
I want to play with dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like everyone. They're gonna go shoot some of the movie in Hawaii. It was just like, it was terrible, but it ended up working out. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Jurassic Park 3 had to push, and it worked out completely in my favor. So when I say that I got lucky, I mean on many different levels. So that's sort of how it came about.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, something that always comes up is things like script changes and that. And we had like a few people from Jurassic Park 3 already on the show, but their characters didn't survive to the end and that. So they didn't really get to see sort of many of the changes. I mean, was there sort of like an original ending where like used like had fist fights with the dinosaurs or anything like that, or did it just sort of wind down to how it was?
I actually am sad that there wasn't a fist-fighting dinosaur. That's a heck of a suggestion. No, I mean, we went through so many writers and so many different scripts that for a while I had not read the script until like the night before we had our first read-through in Hawaii, because they just weren't releasing it. And they just didn't know what to do. And they kept going through different changes, and they kept hiring different people, and that continued throughout the whole process. The sequence of, if I remember this correctly, and it's been a while, but if the sequence where the Spinosaurus, we're in the cage and it goes off the boat and then we're underwater, that was relatively new to the script prior to us filming that, if I remember correctly. Like, there was aspects about that were still being written.
That's quite interesting, because every Jurassic Park film seems to have done that. Like, in the first one, the original ending was the raptors just die by the skeleton crushing them, rather than the T-Rex coming in and eating them. And the second one was going to have, like, pteranodons attacking the helicopter rather than the T-Rex in San Diego. It's quite interesting that in the third one, as you mentioned, they suddenly changed the ending to have the Spinosaurus in the lake.
Yeah, I remember that there was that the pteranodons thing was also something that was added after the first couple. I mean, the parasailing thing always happened. That's how we got on the island. That was, if I remember correctly, that was ubiquitous throughout all of the scripts. Was the parasailing sequence, but the getting picked up by a pteranodon happened a few drafts into us shooting that film.
Do you remember any of the previous scripts, like what happened in those, or have they just been lost in time?
No, I don't. I'm sad to say, but I think it was out of a necessity to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of changes.
I guess, like, if you're on set and you suddenly said a line that was in a previous script, they'd be pretty angry. They'd be like, why are you saying that line? We got rid of that line.
Dinosaur isn't the movie anymore.
There's no boxing dinosaurs in this version.
Who are you fist fighting right now?
There's no such thing as a turn of the centuryosaurus. That doesn't exist.
Avenging the T-Rex. Right. Yeah. I mean, what was it like working with Sam Neill? Was he a cool guy? I mean,
one of the coolest individuals I've ever gotten to meet, ever. I don't know how to describe that level of cool. You know, it's almost as if it's like, in some way it's almost like meeting, like, Steve McQueen on some level. Like, just super cool. He's just awesome. And
great
incredibly sweet. So, I'm sorry, say again?
I was just saying, that's a great comparison, comparing him to Steve McQueen. I can just totally imagine them being in the same league. Like, that comparison was perfect.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I mean, he's cut from that cloth, and yet still a tremendous actor. And his, if I remember correctly, I believe he told me that and maybe I'm botching this, or maybe this is like, I had a dream that this would have been way better of a series, but I believe there was talks of him doing James Bond before they went with Pierce Brosnan. And I just, like, what an incredible James Bond that would have been.
That would have been really interesting.
It would have been a great James Bond. Like, it would have been awesome. Aside from that, like, incredibly sweet, very, very dry sense of humor. I remember one time we were in Hawaii, and Joe Johnston and me and Sam were sitting at the back of this boat that we're shooting on, and we had literally written the scene. Joe had, like, written the scene on, like, a napkin, and we were like, and I memorized it, and it was just changes from, like, original dialogue of what was going to be said. And we were talking, and Joe said something. I forget. He made some sort of joke, and then he said he was kidding. And he said, "Just so you know, I'm always kidding. I always kid." And Sam looked at me and he goes, "I never kid." And I got scared for a second, and then he said, "Just kidding."
Legend.
So, I mean, it really was awesome. I had a very, very fun interaction with Sam, because we had, like, we have a whole part of, a movie together.
Yeah.
So all of my memories of him are very fond.
I mean, was you blown away when you? I mean, I know they didn't really use the mechanical T-Rex in the final film, but obviously you went to set and it was there. I mean, did that sort of blow you away? You were like, this is the hero from the first two films, and I'm seeing it in the flesh.
A little bit that like everyone was really getting excited about the Spinosaurus because there was the nostalgia in me that was like, yeah, but the T-Rex, he's supposed to be the most badass dinosaur. And these guys who literally have spent months and their whole lives of learning how to make animatronics were so thrilled at the end of the film to where they didn't need the big robots anymore, and they actually fought them like it was a video game.
Yeah.
And the Spinosaurus won. Even the robotic Spinosaurus won.
You can see that in the film a little bit. I'm going to scare you now with my nerdism. There's a shot after the Spinosaurus has killed the T-Rex where the animatronic Spinosaurus is leaning its hands on the T-Rex's head, and if you look carefully, you can see that it's just the head. Because I'd heard like rumors off set that the animatronic Spinosaurus had tore the T-Rex's head off.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and to me, like the proof's there on the screen. Like you can actually see that the T-Rex has no body. Like it's just his head.
That must have been like quite a sight. You're just sitting there like, did I just see a robotic dinosaur ripping off a robot dinosaur's head off? What's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say this because it sounds so. And by that point, it had just become another day at the office for me, which is like incredibly awesome. Like that's every 13-year-old's dream. But like by that point, I mean, we were 6 months into shooting, so it was like, oh wow, they finally did it. They finally allowed them to fight.
I can imagine you like going back to school and your friends been like, so what happened? You're like, T-Rex got his head ripped off. Nothing new.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to go on to the next question and just ask. You worked with quite a few of the animatronic dinosaurs. Which one was your favourite?
I mean, the Spinosaurus probably because of it was just so massive.
Mm.
I mean, it was really a sight to behold. When we were doing the whole sequence where, we get in the cage and then the cage goes into the water, and we're and the Spinosaurus is, basically trying to eat us. It was just huge. It was really just a massive thing to be standing in front of. So that was cool to me. That was the coolest one.
I mean, you see some of the behind the scenes videos and that on the DVDs and that, and it almost looks like you're on the old King Kong ride at Universal Studios, where everything's just going off and you're like shaking about, and that must have been pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were also a stone's throw from where Psycho was filmed, the Psycho house.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Yeah. That whole sequence where, I mean, we used a lot of different things. At one point, if I remember correctly, we had like 50% of the sound stages on Universal. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but we were shooting everywhere. And up on top of that hill that was near the Psycho house is where that whole sequence of, the boat and, the shot of where you start to see the fin. And like Joe was, that was my homage to Jaws in the film. That was all, they pumped water into there. It was raining, and they went to a very large extent to make it. And it was awesome.
Awesome.
Could you, I don't know if you'd ever be able to confirm this, but in the opening of the film, you're parasailing, aren't you? With the guy, and that's how you get trapped on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what dinosaur or what animal killed those two guys on the boat in the fog? because this has been a fan speculation for years. Like there's been on many an online argument about this. I didn't know if you knew. Like, was it in the script or?
I wonder if by me giving my opinion would somehow ruin the speculation, like ruin the magic.
A lot of fans seem to think it's the Spinosaurus.
It's got to be some kind of like smooth criminal dinosaur. He's in and out before you even know it, isn't he? They pass through that fog within 2 seconds.
I love that you just made him just like a petty criminal.
He's like,
He just needed to try and steal the boat or get some money.
Casually eats 2 dudes off the boat.
He's like, hey guys, I'm just gonna go over there and there's just 2 morsels. I'm just gonna take those. They're gonna be mine. Done. But yeah, did you have any ideas? And we can just say to the fans that this is just, your opinion. It doesn't mean it's fact, but you were there.
I mean, it was never stated. So my guess is as good as any of yours is. Thinking that the fans say that it might be the Spinosaurus is a good argument. I've always envisioned it was, I always thought it was Pteranodons. I don't know why, but
it was Hammond. It was John Hammond still.
It was Richard Attenborough.
Yeah. But yeah. The Pteranodons is a kind of a good answer, yeah. Never really thought about that.
Mm.
But if I remember correctly, that might be there was a sequence on how we got I feel like there was how in which we got disconnected parasailing changed very slightly from one script to another. It was, the actions were still the same, but if I remember correctly, there was a draft where Pteranodons were foreshadowed in the film at that point, but it obviously didn't keep.
But now I'm running that scene back in my head, and there may be a sound of wing flaps. That could be. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. Sorry, I'm just nerding out right here. Anyway.
No, absolutely.
No, thanks for that. That's. I know the fans are gonna love to hear you talk about that. So, thanks for that.
I mean, how was William H. Macy? Was he a cool guy to work with? Or?
He was good. He really cared about the script a lot. A lot. He was very concerned that we were making a good story. He did not want this to just be a dinosaur film that we threw together in a slapdash fashion. He cared very much about story and character. And I think that that's a testament to who he is as an artist. And I think that the movie is better for it, because he cared so much. And I think that that's definitely a huge part of why people really liked the third one.
Yeah, awesome, man. Okay, I mean, Jack, you got anything else you wanna?
I was just gonna say, are you looking forward to the new film?
Yeah, I'd be looking forward to it more if I was in it. But
I mean,
did you get approached, or were there talks, or anyone? Did anyone or was it they moved on from the Kirby?
Hey, remember when we did that film? But no, I think that they're just going in a completely new direction, which is awesome, and reinventing it, which is fantastic.
I remember sort of back in the day, just after number 3 come out, they were saying that they were going to make a 4th one and that, and
they were talking about making a 4th one before 3rd even came out.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people were signed on for that. I mean, was you signed on for it, or?
I was. I had a contractual obligation to the 4th one for I think a year after it was released. If they would have made a 4th one within a year, I would have. If they wanted me a part of it, I wouldn't. Not that I would have said no.
Yeah. So sorry, guys. This contract's a day out of date. Sorry.
Yeah. 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
It was really nice in the first one, though.
Yeah. I mean, was there any sort of story floating about for a 4, or was it just we'll just see where it goes?
No, but they were still figuring out the story on 3 when we were shooting.
Yeah.
So, no, they weren't. I think that the push was also coming from a point of view of possibly having Stan Winston direct it, because he really wanted to make one. I remember that vividly. He really wanted to make one. So it was rumored that he was going to be directing the next one, and it was going to come very quick.
That would have been awesome. We had Matt Winston, Stan Winston's son, on the January show, and he was just singing Stan's praises and that, and he was saying that he come down, Matt come down, and he worked some of the animatronics on number 3. I mean, did you ever bump into him, or is it obviously going back quite far now, isn't it?
I hung out with. See, I became a little bit of a nerd too, so I really loved hanging out with the guys with the animatronics and the puppeteers. It just really intrigued me, as anyone would, especially at 13. And I just really loved creatures, and I'm a huge Pumpkinhead fan.
Yeah.
So I would ask a lot about Stan's work, and Stan came to set often. He really did care about the way the creatures were going to look and how they were going to interact and how they were going to come to life. Really interesting, sweet guy. The puppet, it's interesting because there's 3 very distinct different art forms that are going on as far as any type of those creatures in the film. There's sometimes when you're looking at nothing or a tennis ball or a picture of a dinosaur on a broomstick to get the eye line right, and it's going to be computer generated, so a computer generated image where graphic design guys come in. And then there's animatronics, where these guys have created this monster that they have to be able to manipulate into looking real. And then there's puppets. So 3 very distinct different art forms are culminating to be able to make this creature come alive, which is truly fascinating, and how in which they cross over.
Yeah, definitely. It especially with the Jurassic Park films, they have a very distinct style, which was set by the first one, and it's gone through all of them, and it's even going through to the 4th one, that they have animatronics and the blend of CGI. They use every single type of trick in the book, and not many blockbusters adhere to that sort of creation anymore.
I think that's what really separates the films apart. I mean, it's very smart to use anything and everything that you can,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
All right. I mean, thanks for sharing all your stories with us, Trevor. I mean, you've been an absolute star. I mean, obviously this is all talking about Jurassic Park, but I mean, you've been in some other things that I'm really fond of, and I really like the film Mean Creek. I mean, it's a very dark film. I remember watching it when it came out and being like, oh, that's pretty nasty, that film. But I've watched it a few times over the years, and great job on that as well. And I'm quite curious. I've seen the trailer, but it's not out over here yet. It's a Butt Whistle.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be. It's called Butt Whistle.
You're not going to forget that title anytime soon.
No, you're really not.
So I mean, even if I didn't watch the trailer,
if you do, then there might be something wrong with you.
All right. Awesome. Well, it was an honour to have you come on, Trevor.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for playing Eric Kirby and entertaining us. Fans. You've done a really good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers,
no
Trevor.
problem.
Hey, can't wait.